Hey, folks, welcome to another cold edition of What's Going On, the experience here on Fox Sports 1280 with Nate Brown Jr. I'm here in Rochester in cold Western New York. Said blizzard is coming, a snowstorm. Got Ryan V down in NYC, the Hamptons. He was just in Costco's. There's a blizzard coming there. And we got the we
Oh
got
yeah.
we got Mr. 355 with us today. And ain't no snow in his forecast. Just sunshine, blue skies. Mr.
Yeah,
355.
what's
Greg
up?
Vaughn. What up, GV23?
What up? What up? What up, fellas? How you guys doing?
Hey, things are crazy over here, Greg. If only you knew. I hear that the world shuts down in the West. The world shuts down in Texas with just a couple inches of snow, from what I hear. But they say it's going to be 2 feet of snow. People are freaking out. I just left Costco. I waited 20 minutes for a rotisserie chicken. That might be the laziest thing that's ever been done.
Yeah, hey, you got to do it. I feel for you guys, man. Stay safe, and at least you have the means. What about the people that don't have the means?
You
that's the
but
scary
but you
part.
know what, Greg? You
Stay
are
safe.
so correct with that. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting yesterday with a couple of guys of mine. He's one of the guys, brother Otis, so you meet him. He's starting putting together a veterans home for the veterans, coming out of what situation they happen to be in with some training. It's going to be like a 6 months program. They can come in for 6 to 9 months. I think around 15 of them. It's going to be a veterans home. So you're right, Greg. You got to do what we can do, man, to help the folks we can, particularly the veterans in this country. They get a sham. I don't know if I'm fighting for you and can't come home and get a spot. They supposed to come home with a spot, bruh. Not this nonsense the way they treat our veterans, man. So we got to do better for everybody in this country, as Greg says. We got to do better, right? And,
Got to
and,
do
and,
better.
and speaking of doing better, I got to give it to the U, man. Miami did. I mean, it was a lot closer than anybody talked about, Greg, and anticipated. They didn't give the U much of a chance to look like, oh, Indiana's just going to steamroll them. But it was a good game, Greg. What do you think?
Yeah, excuse me. I was proud of our boys. You know what I mean? I think they showed resilience. They went out there. They fought. You talk about the phases, especially in football, right? Offense, defense, special teams. Miss a field goal, but it had to score tied, right? Uh, they talk about Carson Beck's interception at the end, but if we make a field goal, the game is tied. And I just don't understand why college teams don't take a page from the pros. So you figure at the pro level, they have all the analytics, they have all the nuances, they've done everything, and you look in college, you see these weird punt formations. You see guys in positions that they're never in the pros. Now, if the pros don't do it, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world, Nate, but if they're not doing it, why would I try to outsmart those guys? I'm talking. You take every NFL team, nobody's doing what you see in college, right? And so miss a field goal, punt formation. I get it, rugby style kicker, but you ran 15 yards right into the punt blocker. You ran right into him. If you stay where you're supposed to stay and have your guys down there on the line where they're supposed to be, uh, to me, I just don't think that happens, But
Okay,
once
so
again,
Greg, how good was Indiana? If that's the case, I mean,
no, I think Indiana was good. But remember, like we talked a week before, you have to minimize the turnovers. So late interception, okay, so be it. But the punt block, that was 7 points. Take away the 7 points and the missed field goal, Miami wins, right? Just take away the 7 points, Miami wins. So I don't want to say, Indiana was not good. Indiana, hey, they went undefeated. They had an unbelievable season, right?
16-0.
You have to
Some are
give it.
calling it the best college season of all time, considering the turnaround the program
Yes,
had. Would you
yes,
say that's an exaggeration?
yes, and how speedy it was, right? 2 years ago, they're the losingest football uh, school
Program in
in
Division One.
history. We're talking history.
In history,
You know, you,
history of college sports. But
you, you,
so speaking of what's the quarterback's name, Ryan, for Indiana? Mendoza?
For
yeah,
yes, for Mendoza.
So Mendoza, Brian, is Mendoza getting drafted number one to the Los Angeles Raiders? The
Las Vegas.
Raiders.
What
Las
they're
Vegas.
saying. Greg's excited. He's going to be going to Greg's town that he's living in.
Las Vegas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
Las Vegas Raiders.
and I think it's going to be a good fit. They're looking for a coach around the way that he plays right now. At least that's what they're saying allegedly. Who do you think's the right coach for Mendoza for his first season in the NFL?
Who knows? As long as they're taking and you haven't heard anybody in the building, right? So they might be doing these interviews, pretty quietly. They might be trying to lure his coach, but who knows? Who knows what they're trying to do? I just don't think it's being played out in the public yet, and we'll see. But he's just one of many holes that the Raiders have, right? They have to get an offensive line better. They have to get some outside weapons. But the one good thing about them is that they're $100 million under the salary cap. So if players want to come to Vegas, they will have the funds to get them here.
Okay,
Right now, the
eh,
latest reports they say Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel are the two coaches, at least last, that maybe went and visited the Raiders or have been in talks with the Raiders. I think that Mike McDaniel might be a decent coach, might be able to figure out what to do with Mendoza.
Well, I think
okay,
he's a good
Ryan.
offensive.
This is what I think. I think at the end of the day, right, Mike McDaniels is a good coach, but maybe it's just me. And okay, he'll get a second chance because he was with Miami and it worked out halfway decent. Tua wasn't the guy, obviously, because he gets hurt all the time. So depending upon what he can do in Vegas, and like Greg said, they have so many holes, dude. Their team is listen, as they say back in the day, Ryan, you like rap. They started from the bottom. Now will they be there? Okay, okay. They started from the bottom. And how much does Tom Brady go into the matter? I mean, was it because he only has a 10% owner, right? So is he picking the quarterback? Is he helping picking the coach? All right. So it's a lot of dynamics that have to go on with the Raiders even going from worst to first because they got a long climb up the ladder, Greg.
Yeah, I think they do have a long climb up the ladder, but I think they brought Brady in and they basically have given him quite a bit of say, right, and influence. So I think the way they've been doing it prior to this, that's why they're in this position. They're paying five coaches, and what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different. So I think Tom Brady will probably have a lot of influence on who's the next coach in that building and who the first pick of the draft is. If next year is a loaded draft as far as quarterbacks too coming out of college, and if you can trade the number one pick and maybe get that left tackle and add some
Yeah.
pieces to it, maybe you do that. Who knows? Who knows what they're thinking? You see all the media reports, and they were rather thrilled or very happy with the way he played. They were on the sidelines, they were watching the warm ups. They were watching his every move. So they're viewing him very closely. So we'll see what happens. That's what's intriguing about the offseason, right? And we're not even there yet. People
Okay.
are doing
So
all the speculation of what might happen. We still have 3 more games to be played.
all right, check
So
this
many
out.
changes, like you said, like season's not even over, and it feels like it's the greatest season in Giants in the last decade, just because of our ending. Now we have Harbaugh, but yes,
All right.
absolutely, a lot of time
Oh,
left.
here we
Before we
go
get to
now.
John
I know you
Harbaugh,
got to
okay,
throw
before we
that
go
in.
to a break, because we're going to come back to this, right? I just want to say a phrase from baseball, and I'm going to use the football. There's no crying in football, gentlemen. You don't cry when you lose a game. You don't cry when you have 4 turnovers. You don't cry. What you do is you get back on the horse, hopefully, because you're the athlete, Greg. And I don't know if you cried in the locker room because you've lost, but that's in the locker room, but you ain't crying on TV. They ain't no. So with that being said, They got rid of your man Sean McDermott, Ryan. They got rid of McDermott. Okay, they kept Brandon Beam, and you're right, Ryan. We're gonna get George in the show because he is the resident Buffalo Bill character. We'll get him in the next couple of weeks before he go to the Super Bowl. And but
Yeah.
they,
Well, you know, they're
but at the
actually
end of the
they
day,
started a petition. You know, real quick, there's 60. We might
I
not even
know,
get rid of this coach. 60,000 people have put
I
on a
know,
petition that they want to get this head coach, get McDermott back in the building. What
but
else is going on?
McDermott is gone, man. He's done. Okay, and it's a sad case because they're not looking at Josh Allen the way they would have looked at Lamar Jackson with 4 freaking turnovers. I'm sorry. And I'm going to be honest with you. They're not giving Josh, oh, you're dead. No. If that was Lamar, hell, if that was Aaron Rodgers, they would have gave him the business. Greg, what
I
say
don't think
you
they would.
before we go to break?
I don't think they would have gave Aaron Rodgers the business if it was pre Aaron Rodgers. Post Aaron Rodgers, maybe. Pre Aaron Rodgers, no. But I said that 2 weeks ago. I said if Josh Allen's going to get all these flowers of how great and they go as far as he goes, you know, he has to take the L's and they have to be on his back like they do every other quarterback, especially quarterbacks that look like us, right? I mean, you know, they're doing the same thing up in Philly. You know, they're blaming him. He can't comprehend the offense. Oh, last year, you know, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But Josh Allen, like you said, 4 turnovers, does whatever. Hey, he's not off limits. Hey, you know, shots fired. You can't fire shots at everyone else and not him.
When you're Buffalo and you're living in that frigid cold and you've seen the worst quarterbacks of all time come your way year after Jim Kelly, you show some damn gratitude to Josh Allen for carrying that team and that franchise as far as it has. And you don't fire a guy that completely changed the franchise in McDermott. I'm sorry, it's not even like Harbaugh, who went to the Ravens and they had some prior success not too far before. The Bills have had no success really ever, I guess, since the Jim Kelly era. So let's not forget Buffalo and Rochester. I know we're up. There's a lot of you listening right now. Look, I understand your pain. I lived in Buffalo, so I am pro Josh Allen. I'll say it right now. Yeah, it was an ugly game, but he brought him very far.
No,
And
you know what? But
you say look like us. I'm not even as big as Doug Flutie. So ain't nobody looking like me in football.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're having some technical difficulties, Ryan. We got to work some stuff out because I couldn't hear you during that last soliloquy.
Yeah, we need a response. Oh, you couldn't hear my last soliloquy?
I could.
No, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna finish this discussion because there's been a lot of movement in the NFL and Major League Baseball too. Because I need to see what Mr. 355 says about my New York Mets. We'll be right back. Don't go no place.